Hey guys, welcome to Unwrapping Keepers. My name is Heather Wilson and this is week 5. So we've already got through a whole month of recipes and I'm so happy to be able to have gotten this far. So this week our recipe is from the state of Michigan. So Michigan obviously is known for Detroit because of like the auto industry. I was going to say like mechanic industry, but it's really the auto industry. So we're actually doing Michigan style coney dogs. So Michigan style coney dogs is a steamed bun with pork majority franks that are split down the middle with mustard on it, then topped with a chili sauce, and then topped with onions. So I'm excited to see how this recipe turns out. I'm excited to see how it tastes and everything like that. And for our dessert, we're actually going to also be making a Michigan style cherry pie. Now, a Michigan style cherry pie and a down home south cherry pie, like I've known, is completely different, because with our like down home cherry pie that we do down here, it's double crusted. So that means it's got a crust on the bottom and a crust that is woven together on the top. Now, for the Michigan style cherry pie, it does not have the woven top. So what actually goes on top of this one is a mixture of butter and oats, as well as like brown sugar and stuff like that. So I'm excited to get into these recipes. I'm excited to see how they turn out and how they taste and everything like that. So thanks for joining us on this journey. Let's get started. To start with the cherry pie, I've got 5 cups of fresh cherries that I have cut in half and I've pitted them. Now, I've also got 6 ounces of the dried cherries, just to kind of give it a little bit of different texture and different flavor to add to it. So inside this, we're going to coat them in almond extract. I've already got it's a half a teaspoon of almond extract. I've already added that into here. So we're going to take a half teaspoon of lemon zest and put it in here. And then we are also going to do a half a teaspoon of lemon juice. Or it might be a whole teaspoon. Yeah, it's a whole tablespoon actually. So that's a tablespoon now. Alright. So, I gotta get the seeds out. So just be careful if you are using a freshly squeezed lemon. Always be careful to watch for the seeds when they're coming out. Normally you want to take and put, if you're gonna do it squeezed, you're gonna want to take and like hold it over your hand a little bit. Alright. Well, I just dropped it right back in there. Alright. So now that we got the lemon juice and the almond extract in there, I'm just going to kind of coat them in it with the zest. You're just going to want to toss them in there. Throw them back and away. Alright, and then you're also going to take what I've already done, just so that way it would have time to chill. You're going to take your pie crust and put it into a 9-inch pie pan. You're going to want to kind of like crumble the edges over to where it stays up in the position that it's supposed to be. So actually for this recipe, this is going to be a single crusted pie. I know normal cherry pies have the top on them that are kind of like interwoven together, but this one does not have, and I'll show you why in just a minute. So you're going to want to take your your cherry mixture and dump them into the pie pan. It doesn't look like it's going to hold all of them. So, alright, so now that the pie pan is full of it, now normally at this time, this would be where you would take your pastry crust and put it over the top and like interweave it together. But for this one, for it to be a Michigan cherry pie, they put rolled oats, flour, and it's kind of like a crumble topping together on it. So what you're gonna need is 3/4 cup of old-fashioned oats. So I've got my 4th cup right here, and I've got 1, 2, and 3. And then we're also going to do a 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. Alright, so 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. And then you're also going to want to do 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar. Alright, I'm just kind of packing it inside the bag so that way it don't all slip out. Alright. And then we're also going to, I'm going to stir this up real quick, and then I'm going to grab the salt and grab melted butter.
You're good.
So in this crumble, I've got to add the butter into it, and then you stir the butter up to where it's just like all like crumbly and combined together, and then we're going to sprinkle it over the top of the pie. So it's getting really, it looks really pretty like that. It's just kind of coating everything together with the butter, making everything real moist and everything to where it'll fold together. Alright, so now that it's nice and crumbly like that, we're just going to take that and go right over the top of this. Just kind of like chunk it out and spread it over the top of it.
Go ahead.
Don't have to try and get it too close to the edges or anything like that, because it'll kind of just fall and form over it. And if it gets all like in big chunks and stuff like that, you can just kind of use your fingers and kind of pinch it up.
You going to the corner? Yeah. You gonna stand in the corner? Yeah. There you go.
Put it right there.
What do you put mean? No, you're gonna stay here for a minute. No, we're not doing that.
Just kind of go outwards with it.
It's not gonna be mean.
Alright, and so now that that is like that, you just take it straight from like it is, and you just go straight into the oven with it, and you bake it at 375 for anywhere between about 45 to 55 minutes, or until like the outer edge is like really golden brown and all this is like nice and golden and crispy on top. For this part of the Michigan chili dogs, I'm gonna mix up some spices. So we've got chili powder right here. We're gonna do 4 teaspoons of chili powder, and this doesn't fit in there. So we're gonna do 4 teaspoons of that. Two, 3. Alright, and 4. Alright, There's 4 teaspoons of that, and then we're gonna do 1 teaspoon of paprika. Just about enough. I'm just gonna go ahead and add this last little bit in there. And then 1 teaspoon of dried oregano. And then, okay, so with the kosher salt, this recipe calls for kosher salt, but because kosher salt is much less concentrated than iodized salt, you want to use half of what it calls for the kosher salt if you're using iodized salt. So half of 1 teaspoon of the kosher salt is a half a teaspoon of iodized salt. We're also going to do a half a teaspoon of the black pepper. Alright, and then I'm going to get this chopped up and we're going to go ahead and add this. So as soon as I get this chopped up, we'll go on to our next step. We have got, you're going to want to take a pound of ground chuck and put it over medium-high heat and let it brown. You're also going to want to do a half a pound of ground beef heart. Now, if you're squeamish about that, or if you can't find that in your area, which for me, I could not find that in my area, so I just used 2 pounds of ground chuck, which is all okay. The point of the beef heart is just to kind of give it a little bit more flavor, but it's okay if you don't use it. So you're just going to want to take this and let it brown up just like that. And after we get this all browned up, we're going to drain the grease from it, and I'm going to add in some chopped onions and bell peppers that I'm going to be chopping up while this is going. So the grease that I told you about a minute ago, you're going to want to drain all the grease from the ground chuck except for about 3 tablespoons. So you're going to put that in a pan, and then you're going to want to take 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to use the flour and the grease together to make a roux, just to kind of thicken it up a little bit. So you're going to take this and combine this together until it gets into like an amber color. So you're just going to keep stirring this frequently until it starts changing color. The color of it right now is about blondish, but it's going to need to get a little bit darker than that. And then after it gets darker, we're going to add in some chicken broth. You can use chicken broth or beef broth, and then you're going to add in tomato paste and apple cider vinegar into this. Pause that.
Action.
So now that we've got it turned into a lovely amber color, while you're still stirring it, you're going to want to add 1.5 cups of chicken broth or beef broth. And I did turn this down on the eye. You're going to want to have it on medium-high while you make the roux, but after you get the roux done, you're going to want to turn it down on low while you're adding the chicken broth and while you are adding the tomato paste and the vinegar. So this is a 14.5 can, so that should be enough right there. Stir it up just a little bit. In goes the vinegar. It is 2 teaspoons of the apple cider vinegar. And I'm going to pause while I do this. 4 ounces of tomato paste. I have a 6-ounce can that I'm using of just regular tomato paste. So I'm going to use the majority of it, but not all of it.
Alright, you're
You're not wrong. Okay, so now that we got the tomato paste in here, you just want to kind of stir it up together. And then we're going to move on to our next step here in just a moment. This just kind of gives the base of the chili sauce. It's fine. Alright, so now that we got that kind of going, I'm going to move this over. And we're going to go back to the ground chuck from a minute ago. Okay, now that we got the hamburger meat back over medium-high heat without the grease in it, we're going to add the bell pepper that I chopped up and the onion that I have chopped up to it. This smells already so wonderful. You're just going to want to stir it up in it, get it going with it to kind of brown the meat a little bit more and get the flavors of the onions and the peppers in there. Oh my God, I wish y'all could be in this kitchen with me, because this, just even adding the bell peppers and the onions to it, already make it smell so wonderful. So this is for the sauce mixture, the chili sauce mixture that is going on top of the conies. Alright, and the next step right here, after this kind of cooks down a little bit, like the vegetables cook down and everything, I'm going to maneuver all this over to one side to leave a blank side of the skillet in order to add the spice mix that I mixed up earlier with like the paprika and the chili powder and the garlic and all that kind of stuff. We're going to add that into the side of the skillet right here. You're just going to want to add that right there and let the point of adding this directly to the skillet is just to make the flavors bloom. So you're just going to keep and stir them like that just to kind of keep them from sticking to the bottom, which they're already doing. Just going to stir it up like this for about 15 minutes. And after we get this stirred up for 15 minutes, we'll move on to the next step.
Yep.
Alright, so we've got our roux mixture that we did with the grease fat and the flour and tomato paste and everything. We're just going to pour that right over the top of our meat and vegetables and our spices. I'm just going to really get all this out of this pan. Some of it kind of stuck to the sides of it. Alright, and then you're just going to stir this up together just to get everything nice and coated. So it does say on the recipe for it to be authentic, it would need to have the beef part in it, but it still does just as good with it. See, there's all them spices that kind of got stuck a little bit to the bottom and everything, and that just, doing that just really made that flavor of them spices just bloom out. So once we get all this stuff mixed in together, it'll just have such a smoky flavor and a, like, I don't know, I guess a charred flavor. Okay, I guess. So you're going to want, after you get it stirred up like this, you're going to want to let it simmer for about 15 minutes to an hour. And then after you get it simmered and everything like that, that's when all those spices really join together. And then if you want to, I mean, I don't think that it would absolutely be necessary. I mean, for it to be fully authentic, this is actually supposed to be a sauce, but it's just supposed to be a thick, pasty, light top sauce. So you could actually take this and put it just straight over your hot dog like this if you want it like chunky. But if you don't want to puree it in a blender, which if you do, that's perfectly fine if you do. And if you would like to puree it, you can, to where it really makes it into just a thick sauce. But if not, you can just use this and go straight on your hot dogs with it. Okay, so for this part, we've got our skillet. You're going to take a hot dog and you're going to cut it down the middle, but not all the way through, so that way it leaves it on a hinge, so that way you can split it open and go straight down into the pan, just like that. Let me get the second one cut. The point of this is so that way once you get it split and it is done, you can kind of fry it up like that and just to brown it on both sides. And then once we get it off, we're going to stick it over there on a plate, put some mustard in it and some chili on it. My wonderful son's going to be joining us for this time. So we got our weenies that have been cooked. I'm just going to try this like without a bun, but normally you would take and you would steam your bun, and then you would put your split weenie inside the bun, and then we're going to be taking Berman's Classic Mustard, open it up, and squirt it right down the length of it. And then you take your chili over here, and like I said, if you don't want to puree it, you don't have to, but this chili smells absolutely wonderful. And then you're just going to go right over the top with it. And then, of course, with your bun and everything together, it'll be like stacked up and everything. And then you just add your onions on top if you want those. And then you just eat them. And this is how you make a Michigan-style coney dog. So we've got our, like I showed you earlier, we've got our cherry pie out of the oven. And it is absolutely golden on top. It looks absolutely beautiful. So we're going to cut into it and see what it looks like on the inside. Ooh, that top's so crispy already. It's kind of crumbling everywhere. Let me grab a fork. It's kind of crumbling everywhere. Let me grab a fork. Ready? All right. Let's see if we can get it all up. Oh, nope. It's crumbling. But it looks absolutely gorgeous. All the cherries got to fell out in the middle of it. But that is all okay. So I did end up messing it up just a tad. Just for the simple fact that I didn't read the recipe correctly. And I forgot to add the sugar to it. So definitely gonna want to add sugar into it, because the cherries are pretty sweet, but they're kind of tart at the same time. So let's see how it tastes. That's not bad, actually. Just leaving it like that. That's actually really good, because it doesn't leave like a overly sweet taste, but it's not really too tart either. So that's actually really good like that. I would recommend though, my mom actually told me about this a minute ago, so thanks, shout out to my mom. Using a powdered sugar glaze on it. So when you make a powdered sugar glaze, of course it's just powdered sugar and water or milk, either one you want to go with. You could actually add some almond extract into that glaze with it, since there is almond extract in this pie. And you could just cover it on top and kind of make it into kind of like a cherry streusel, however you want to say that. But all in all, this recipe is really, really good. So I'm glad that you got to join with us, and this is how you make a Michigan style cherry pie. So thanks again, you guys, for joining us on Unwrapping Keepers. Again, my name is Heather Wilson, and the state that we've been doing has been Michigan. The cherry pie and the Michigan style Coney dogs have turned out absolutely perfect. They both taste really, really amazing. They're super simple to make and everything like that. They taste and smell so good. I wish y'all could have been here in my house with me, because just the smells and the aromas that was going on with these recipes, absolutely unbelievable. So join us again next week when we do another state. We'll find out next Wednesday when this video is posted. We'll find out next Wednesday what we're doing for the next week. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching Unwrapping Keepers.